The dust has settled on week 10 of the college football season. Those college football playoff rankings are going to get here. We're going to take our shot at predicting what those rankings will be. So hear me very clearly. This is not our rankings. Our rankings are on this channel right now. Go ahead and check those out on the On3 YouTube channel. But we're going to go ahead and tell you what they're going to be to the best of our knowledge when those rankings get here on Tuesday night. First things first, make sure you're subscribed. Pressing towards 200K. Y'all have been crushing it. We appreciate y'all being a part of this. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at JD Piquel. The best way to stay up with everything about going on here, though, making sure you're subscribed. So thank you so much in advance for that. Let's start with this now. We'll go 6 all the way up to 1. So the first 2 out. At number 6, it's going to be Oregon. Now, Oregon throttled Cal, box checked, but not really a resume boost. Now, you have USC next week. By nature of them losing to Washington, I don't know if that's going to be the resume boost you were hoping it would be when you saw early on the schedule. The resume boost may not come until November 24th when you play Oregon State. Oregon State, you're rooting for them to be as good as possible when you play them. And at the end of the day, like for Oregon, the main thing is the main thing. You handle business. You're a one-loss conference champ. If you end up avenging that one loss against who you think you'll probably avenge that one loss against, with it being Washington, you'll be in good shape. So keep on climbing. Main thing's the main thing. Bo Nix is that dude. Don't worry about the resume. Handle business. You'll be in good shape. Oregon will be at 6. I don't see a reason why you could boost them up by nature of the rest of the landscape. Now at number 5, same deal. Washington. They outpaced USC. Got a nice little resume bump. You could see them making their way into the top 4. They have 2 ranked wins. They were impressive in the sense that they weren't even at full strength and still scored 50 points. Good to see them kind of get up for a game. They got Utah next week. That's the one that could really kind of move them up in the rankings. I think their Oregon win, depending on how you look at it, is better than that win against LSU that Florida State has. But I think the committee is going to freeze that Florida State win over LSU. That was a top 5 win. The Oregon win, it was a top 10 win, but I still think if you're going to compare resumes, Florida State probably still gets the nod. Now, is Florida State going to get beat by Washington, a neutral site? Not here to talk about that, but I think the way that the committee looks at this thing, Washington at 5, Florida State will be at 4. Florida State, they beat Pitt. While they were shorthanded, they have 2 ranked wins to their name. One of them being top 5, like we said, against LSU. I don't see how you can drop Florida State anywhere after a win like that over Pitt, and I don't think you can drop them after a win like that over Pitt. So, or I think you can drop them or raise them, rather. I think 4 is probably right about where they need to be. The thing to watch for Florida State now, the resume is probably out of juice from a ranked win standpoint until they get to that ACC title game. So they're not out of tests. They're still going to play Miami, still going to play at Florida. Both of those rivalry games, both of those you would like to, look how you're supposed to look. They'll have the better roster. They'll be favored, all that. But even so for Florida State, I don't think there's too many more wins that are going to allow you to springboard up in these rankings. Like you're probably sitting at 4 unless somebody else drops the ball somewhere along the way and you can find your way into 3 or 2 or 1, whatever. Handle business, win the ACC. That'll be a ranked win, another one to your resume. You did your heavy work early, so enjoy this ride and just keep on pressing. Find a way to give them no excuses to be in that top 4 come Selection Sunday. They will be top 4 in my opinion. They'll be number 4 when it comes to these next rankings. Number 3, you got Michigan. Handled Purdue 41-13. Very, very clear that passing game is kind of the new gear, kind of new improved with J.J. McCarthy and Colston Loveland, Roman Wilson. Like, they're dominant. We knew they were dominant last week. They're as high as they were last week because they were dominant. They're still dominant. It starts now for Michigan. Fall camp just ended in Ann Arbor with that win over Purdue. Their season, we always say this, we'll say it again, will be determined by these next 3 weeks. At Penn State, at Maryland, Ohio State. That's the season. Can they play their best ball when it counts? Based on their resume, I don't see a way that you can drop them. I don't see a way that you can bump them up. They've been dominant. That's why they're ranked where they are. 3 is probably about right. Number 2, yet again this week, will be Georgia. They got a real resume boost with a win over number 12 Missouri. Final score was 30-21. Also passed the eye test. No Brock Bowers. Scored 30 points. Like, it's all good over there. You also limited an offense that scores 34 points a game to 21 points a game. Kamar Lassiter strapped up Luther Burden, no problem, only had 3 catches, took care of business. Georgia continues to prove that they are the best matchup team when it comes to their secondary play. I think their resume will eventually make a really strong case to be number 1 if they take care of business against a top 10 Ole Miss and against a probably ranked Tennessee football team. But still, with that being said, for Georgia, I think you're happy to be number 2. If you're Kirby Smart, you can tell your team you still got some things to chase. The resume is the resume because of what Ohio State's done. You don't argue with being number 2. You just take it week in and week out, one step at a time. It's cliche, but it's cliche for a reason because it's true. And I think if you're a Georgia fan, your football team is really good when they have a sense of urgency and they have some chase to them, which they have right now. It's a nice resume boost, passed the test, proved what we already kind of assumed about Georgia, but they did so in a Saturday format, which has got to be a good feeling. Now for Ohio State, they're going to be number 1. Yet again, they handled business against Rutgers, kind of pulled away in the second half. Final score was 35-16. Ohio State, the eye test, do they pass it with flying colors? No, some of that's our fault because of what we expect of Ohio State. We expect them to be this team that scores 40 a game and C.J. Stroud, Justin Fields. Like, that's the image we have of Ohio State. That's not this team. And that's okay so long as you keep on winning games in the fashion that you're winning them in. Like, nobody's going to argue with you if you're walking away with a 1-0 record every Saturday. And that's what they did this weekend. Still the best resume in college football. Win on the road against top 10 Notre Dame. Win at home against top 10 Penn State. That's going to be more than enough to keep you at number 1 the rest of the season. The rest of, I should say, rather this week and potentially the rest of the season if they handle business against Michigan at the end of the year. Travion Henderson, having him back in the lineup, having him healthy, like adding Tabasco to your offense. Like, when I go to Chipotle, I know my rice is going to be good. I know my chicken's going to be good. The beans are going to be good. But when I add that Tabasco to it, that just kind of kicks it up a notch. That was him to the Ohio State offense. Marvin Harrison Jr., you know what you're getting. Kyle McCord, been a field general. Defense, been awesome and extremely solid. Changed the way the game was played yesterday. But Travion Henderson was that big playability for Ohio State. Was that counter to what Marvin Harrison Jr. brought to the table. Make you miss ability, change of pace kind of back, great speed. Having him healthy is a game changer for Ohio State. Can allow them to score more points and put more pressure on defenses and teams and can change the pace of a game. So they're going to be number 1 this week again. I think, again, if they beat Michigan, they'll finish the year at number 1. They'll go wire to wire in these rankings, in my opinion, even with Georgia's real resume. 1 and 2, I think you're splitting hairs, but I think Ohio State controls their own destiny in terms of keeping number 1. But that's how we think it's going to shake out when it comes to these second rankings. To give you a recap, we are predicting Oregon at 6, Washington at 5, Florida State at 4, Michigan at 3, Georgia at 2, Ohio State at 1. So chalk will hold for another week. Let me know your thoughts. Subscribe here. Let me know your thoughts. Also follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Follow me there. Tweet at me. Let me know what you think is going to be the top 6 when it comes to this upcoming Tuesday for the college football playoff rankings. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Going to keep this party rolling. We will see y'all next time. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.